Horse.
Yeah, you think. Most people couldn't afford a horse. You walked. What did you do on weekends? Well, guess what, guys? Weekends were Sunday, maybe half a Saturday. Most men worked 6 days a week. Moms didn't work. Well, they worked all the time. They worked 7 days a week, but they worked in the house. And, you know, most people didn't have refrigerators, so you walked to the grocery store every day and brought home your groceries and all that stuff. But the trolley companies came along, and it was a wonderful thing because now people could go a lot farther than they could walk. You know, big city like New York or Chicago, instead of walking around your neighborhood, you actually get out of your neighborhood now. You go across town. It's like going to Europe today, you know. And but anyway, the trolley companies had to operate 7 days a week. In some of the areas, especially in the smaller towns, there wasn't a lot of business because towns were kind of small and people walked. They didn't want to pay a nickel. So how did they get people to ride? They invented a destination outside of town where nobody could get to because it was too far to walk. We're getting back to that walking thing again, except the rich people who had the horses. So rather than sit around the house in the city in August on a hot day, let me diverge a little bit. How did UPS deliver their packages back in 1900? Brown trucks? No, brown horses. Trucks have exhaust. Horses have exhaust. Picture horse exhaust, August, 95 degrees, 100% humidity. Where do you not want to be? In the city. So the companies, trolley companies built parks out of town. This is our trolley park. That's what they were called. How did you get here? You rode the trolley because that was the only way to get here. So Sunday morning after church, Mom would pack up a picnic lunch. Mom and Dad and the 13 kids would all go down to the trolley stop. They'd each pay a nickel. They'd ride out to the park. Dad would throw out his chaise lounge, get out the newspaper. Of course, he had the funnies open. But he had the news on the outside. Mom would be unpacking the picnic lunch. Kids would be tossing the Frisbee around. Mom and Dad would look at each other and say, this is so much better than having a kid sitting around the house surfing the internet. They're out here, they're active, they're having a good time. This is great. And it worked for a while. And then, you know, little Jimmy see Mommy packing a picnic lunch on Sunday morning. He said, Mom, again? Been there. Got the t-shirt. I don't want to go back. So business dropped off. So what do? Somebody knew somebody else who had a carousel, merry-go-round. And I loved it. When the kids are here, I'll say carousel. Who knows what a carousel is? Merry-go-round. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And they said they run on 600 volts, just like this trolley car. Right above my head is a 600-volt wire. And so somebody had one they weren't using. They said, listen, bring your carousel out here to our park. Rent space from us. We'll supply two things, electricity and riders. And guess what? It worked. And somebody else wanted to get on it because they saw it was working. And they brought their Ferris wheel. I don't know what came next. And they started collecting all these amusement rides and invented the amusement park. Now, Disney may have perfected it, but trolley companies invented it. And at one point, there was about 2,000 of them across the country. Now, depends on who you talk to. Could be as few as 10, could be as few as 20, but it's a lot less than thousands. And locally, you guys are from Mass. Who else is from the area?
Well, Bertrand's Island in New Jersey.
That's not the area. That's not even New England. I know you want it to be. Right down in southern New Hampshire, there's a place called Canterbury Lake Park, and that's an amusement park. It was built by the Massachusetts Northeastern Street Railway. Where's the railway? Gone. But the park is still there, and it has not been made of Six Flags yet. It's still an independent park. And I've heard rumors from employees that if you dig the right place in the parking lot, you'll find trolley tracks. They won't let me try it. I've asked, but... And I know the story I just told you is kind of a poetic license of the story of Canterbury Lake Park, because that's kind of the way it happened down there. Because my daughter, for one Father's Day, gave me a little book, The History of Canterbury Lake. Although it was kind of funny, because it starts when it started becoming an amusement park. And I learned later on that prior to the amusement park, there was a, what do you call it? Botanical garden. It's a three-syllable word. It's hard for me. And so there was a botanical garden there. But as a park, it had the lake, Canterbury Lake. So the trolley companies built a trolley line up there, and people would go up to spend the day, you know, near the lake. They probably had, you know, paddle boats or rowboats or something you could rent to go out on the lake. It was just a place to go on Sunday, morning, afternoon, whatever. Other rail lines out in Western Mass where I grew up, I was telling them I grew up in Springfield, Mass. So as a kid, we had Riverside Park across the river, in Connecticut River in Agawam. That wasn't a trolley park, I looked it up. That was built on a trolley line because the trolley line was already there. It was access to the river, it was basically a beach, and they put in a pool. They had a river, it was clean back then, I don't know why they put the pool in, but that became an amusement park. But up in Holyoke, Mass, a place called Mountain Park, and that was built by the Holyoke Street Railway. And the origins of that park is also fairly common. They put up a dance hall up there. You know, people didn't have a lot of radios and stuff. They didn't have the internet to go, what is it, VH1 or something. Well, that's not the internet, that's cable TV. But they'd have bands, and they'd have dances on Friday, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. And we have a book in our museum store called The Diary of a Trolley Road, and it talks about the Hartford and Springfield interurban line, which, much like the Atlantic Shore Line, which we've reproduced here, started out as a bunch of small railroads that all got bought up and merged. And it has an interesting story in the book about a dance hall they had, I think it was in Broadbrook, Connecticut, but don't hold me to that. And the guys would take the girls dancing not because, Glenn Miller was coming to town, but because they wanted to see the high-tech stuff they had there. Now, what's high-tech in 1920? Well, most people back then had gas for lighting in their house. What does a dance hall run by the trolley company have? Electric lights. That was cool. That was like having the latest cell phone. Mm-hmm. Guys would say, "Hey, honey, you want to go dancing Saturday night?" "Oh, yeah." And she'd brag all week to her girlfriends. And they get there, and yeah, he danced, but he was like, "Oh, look at that. How do they do that?" So that was some of the things. So, trolley companies in life in America, in progress in America, are really intertwined quite a bit. And this is just a couple of them right here. Trolley parks, which are still around, and other things. Casinos.